Week 10 sleepers and two-star pitchers up next on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Friday, May 23rd. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and let's preview Week 10. The schedule for next week, we have 28 teams with 6 games, and we have 2 teams with 7 games, the Rays and the Blue Jays. As for the Rockies, they are on the road all of next week. Starters sit these two-star pitchers, and Spencer Strider, 2 weeks in a row, we think he's a 2-star pitcher at the Phillies and home against the Red Sox.
Yeah, that rain out really messed us up because it ruined his 2-start status for Week 9, which everybody started him for. It prevented us from seeing a second start before deciding whether we wanted to use him in Week 10 for what figured to be only a 1-star week. So now we just have the bad start to work on, and he lines up for 2 starts again, and his bad matchups. I feel obligated to start him still. I mean, there's too much upside, strikeout upside especially. I'm not saying it's a must, but I lean strongly yes towards Strider. I wish it didn't break down this way.
What about Gavin Williams home against the Dodgers and Angels?
Bad matchup with the Dodgers, obviously. Good one with the Angels, especially as strikeout prone as they are, and we've seen a lot of strikeouts from Gavin Williams. So I think I lean yes on him too.
What about Taj Bradley home against the Twins at the Astros?
That one is probably just a points league play. I don't think the upside is really worth pursuing in categories right now, especially considering the downside.
Next up, we have Nick Martinez at the Royals and at the Cubs.
That seems like just a points league play too. Again, one good matchup, one bad. Nick Martinez has been on a nice run recently, but his latest start, while it was good against a bottom feeder lineup, the strike percentage was back under 60%, which is just not going to work for Nick Martinez. It was trending up. He was getting back to being a big strike thrower, but the trend ended in his latest outing, and he just got away with it because it was such a bad lineup. So because he's relief pitcher eligible, 2-star week, fine in points league, but that's it.
And JP Sears at the Astros and at the Blue Jays.
Fly ball rate giveth, the fly ball rate taketh away. It's tooketh away recently. Bad starts for Sears, and there's danger to using him still, but in points leagues, probably justified.
All right, let's slide over to the 2-star pitchers that you actually like, Scott. The ones you were looking to add and stream, who are they?
The ones I like include Drew Rasmussen against an injury-depleted Twins lineup. Great ratios because of the high ground ball rate and the low walk rate. And I'm surprised he's this available, frankly. Dustin May, also surprised he's this available. I think it's just because he has a 2-4 record, but that's going to flip for the Dodgers as long as he keeps going 6 innings with the consistency he has, keeps runs off the board with his high ground ball rate. He gets the Guardians this week, does Dustin May. That's a pretty favorable matchup. Tyler McGill, he's approaching 13K per 9, amazingly. But he's available enough to mention here because he rarely goes even 5 innings, which is necessary to get a win. You got to go at least 5. I think I'll go 5 against the White Sox and maybe give you double-digit Ks again. David Peterson, he gets the Rockies on the road. And that's a good matchup. I'm giving you the 1-star options. Did you ask for 2-star options today? I'll just keep going with the 1-star.
I was going to wait until you finished and then correct you, but it's all good.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Sorry. Okay, Rockies on the road. David Peterson, he gets them. They're always a great matchup. They're a good matchup even at home these days. Peterson has been working deeper into games, keeping runs off the board with a high ground ball rate. Luis Ortiz gets the Angels. He's been getting a ton of strikeouts recently. The Guardians seem to have fixed him. Angels have the second most strikeouts of any lineup. Good matchup there. Cade Horton, the rookie, introduced a changeup in his last start, got a lot more whiffs against the Marlins, and this time he gets the Rockies on the road as well. So again, those are the 1-star sleepers, streamers, whatever you want to call them. Drew Rasmussen, Dustin May, Tyler McGill, David Peterson, Luis Ortiz, and Cade Horton.
All right. Let's take a break. When we return, we will get to the 2-star pitchers that you can add and stream, and we'll do that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in FBT Express. All right, Scott.
Yeah.
That's a chance for redemption. 2-star pitchers to add and stream for next week.
Yeah. All right. Back to talking 2-starters here. Okay. So Hayden Birdsong's the best one. But Ryan Weathers is right there. They're both about 60% rostered in CBS Sports leagues. They both look great since joining the rotation. Birdsong shifting from the bullpen, Weathers coming off the IL. But Birdsong has the better matchups this week, particularly the second one at Miami. As good as he looked in his first start, throwing strikes, missing bats. I think you start him now and you hold on to him forever. Weathers as well. His matchups aren't as good at San Diego versus San Francisco. In fact, they're kind of bad. But his first 2 starts, where we saw an extra couple miles per hour on his fastball from last year, an extra couple inches of induced vertical break from last year on that fastball, and one earned run in each. Those were both against the Cubs. The dreaded Cubs, Weathers still managed to get a good outcome twice in a row. So I'm certainly not scared off by the Padres and Giants, his 2 matchups this week. Let's see, a little further down the list after some of those 1-start streamers, we got Jamison Tyone, who's been a quality start machine, homer prone. So that always makes him kind of dangerous, but he gets those Rockies on the road for his first start and his second start, Reds on the road, where, not home, where they have the most homer-friendly ballpark in baseball. And then Eric Fetty, don't trust him, but he does have the Orioles and Rangers on the schedule this week, and both rank in the bottom 6 in runs scored, believe it or not. So hopefully Fetty, at least in points leagues, will do more good than harm.
All right, let's slide over to the hitters and the best matchups for next week. Orioles, Mets, D-backs, Padres, and Cardinals. The worst hitter matchups, Phillies, Pirates, Red Sox, Athletics, and Tigers. Scott, who are the sleeper hitters for week 10?
Mm-hmm. So they don't have much to do with the matchups this week. They are there isn't a huge disparity between the teams with the best hitter matchups and the worst hitter matchups. Every team's kind of mixed up in the middle. So most of these sleeper hitters are just hitters who are under roster. And that includes the top name here, Austin Hayes. He's been killing it in between IL stints. It does help that the Reds matchups, they're going against 2 injury-depleted rotations, Royals and Cubs. But really, you should just have Hayes anyway. You should just have TJ Friedel anyway. The very bottom name on the sleeper sitters list, Will Benson, he also plays for the Reds. I'm not going to say you have to have him, regardless of whether or not you're streaming him, but he's looked great since coming back from the minors. Between the majors and the minors, 12 home runs this year. And he's only playing against lefties so far with the Reds, but only one of those on the schedule. Okay, so we got Hayes, we got Friedel, we got Benson. We also have Rhys Hoskins, who's slashing 300, 400, 500 on the year. On the year! Pick him up already, geez. Taylor Ward just hit his 14th home run. He is having a patented Taylor Ward streak where he does like a third of his season's production in the span of a few weeks. So we gotta enjoy that while it's happening. Jonathan Aranda on one of the 2 teams with 7 games, but more critically in his case, 6 are against righties. I wish the matchups were better for Aranda. He'd be number 1 on the list if they were, but regardless, we have to take advantage of these weeks where he's not going to sit much when he's facing righties like this. Otherwise, what's the point? Jake Berger has come back for the Rangers, smashing again. If you need power, Berger's your guy. Ryan O'Hearn. The Orioles have the best matchups you mentioned, all against righties. And his numbers are great against righties. You can trust him to stay in the lineup. Ryan O'Hearn, good sleeper again. Lourdes Gurriel has had a much better May than April. Seems like he's coming around. The Diamondbacks have the 3rd best matchups. And finally, Matt Shaw of the Cubs got his timing down at AAA, has come back looking good. and opens week 10 with 3 games against the Rockies pitching staff. So hopefully we'll see him flash some power and speed in that series, if not beyond.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.